Hello and welcome again to MJTV. I'm your host, Matthew James. I'm a renowned international medium and clairvoyant. And in this broadcast, which I've titled Night Terrors, I want to discuss paranormal activity, things that go bump in the night. Hauntings is the best way to actually describe it. Now I want to actually introduce this from a personal angle because I've had many years of experiences of these sort of phenomena. What I'm basically talking about is the entities that actually physically attack you in the night. The entities that scratch you, the entities that try to strangle you, the entities that press on your chest, the entities that try to stop you getting back into your physical body when you're in an out-of-body state and you're in a state of paralysis and panic and you're trying to scream and you can't get yourself back into your body. These are the sort of experiences that I want to discuss here. I also want to mention the phenomena where you'll stick an arm or you will stick a foot out of your bed through the blankets or through the quilt, and something always grabs you, something always brushes against you, but obviously it's an invisible force. You don't see what it is. Because I'm trying to find out how many other people out there have been experiencing this sort of phenomena. I also want to hear from people if their own children, their teenage children, their young children experience these situations, or if you know of anybody else who has experienced these situations, because I really would want to hear from you guys, because this is a situation where I'm actually interested. I'm at the point where I'm trying to fathom out what has been going on in my life for the last 40 years. Because it's a real mystery, because according to conventional science, according to psychologists, it's all figments of your imagination. But how can it be a figment of your imagination, for heaven's sake, when something's clearly grabbing your feet when you've got your feet sticking out of the bed? Something clearly hits you. Something clearly is strangling you. There's nobody else in the room. So there has to be some sort of explanation here. Now, just a real quick background into what has actually been happening to me over my well, it's 40 years since I was 5, 41 years since I was 5. I distinctly remember as about a 4, 5, 6-year-old always being really fearful of going to bed. I always had the situation where once I got into bed, I would be petrified. I would always be aware that there was something in the room. I would always be aware that there was an associated smell or an associated drop in temperature. I would then notice in the corner of the room there would be like a moving shadow, or there would be something darkening in the room. I would then get like a rotor blade sound, a high-pitched sound, and that's when the panic stations would set in, the panic bells would set in, and I would always hide under the covers of the bed. I would then find myself a few moments later in well, I'm going to describe an out-of-body state, really paralysed, really scared, unable to scream, unable to move, trying desperately to get back into my own physical body, like there's some entity trying to prevent me from getting back into my physical body. I would then, with a great deal of effort, find myself back in my physical body. My eyes would open and I would scream the place down. My parents would understandably say, oh, you've just been having a nightmare. I mean, they weren't to know, God bless them. They didn't know what was going on. It's not something I really would want to discuss with anyone, because I mean the first reaction is it's, oh, you're just having a nightmare. But this had a frequency of being every other night or every night solidly for 6 months, and then it would just go away. And then a few weeks later it would come back, and it was always the same symbols, all the same sort of situation that would lead up to this attack, this possession, this abduction, whatever you want to call it. Now, there were also the other instances where I would be lying on my bed, and I would feel something standing on my chest really pressing down on my chest, like there were hands or there was feet standing down on my chest, and I used to find it really difficult to breathe. There was also instances where something would grab hold of my windpipe or scratch me. I've had situations where I've actually had entities hit me, and I've also had entities that have pushed me out of the bed and sent me flying onto the floor. My situation here is, how the hell can you be imagining these things? This is why really I'm putting this video out, I'm putting this broadcast out, because I'm trying to find who else has been experiencing these things over the years. I would love to hear from you guys, whether it's by my website www.matthewjamesmedium.com or by my email, which is matthewjamesmedium@gmail.com, because I've tried over the years to come to some sort of rational explanation. But my theory is that there are interdimensional beings that are particularly malevolent. Now, whether they are using this phenomena to try and generate fear in human beings, using fear as an energy, as a fuel, a little bit like we are a drive-through KFC or a drive-through McDonald's, because obviously our first reaction is to fear, and we're actually sending this energy of fear out, and whenever it's around us, if it's in an interdimensional state, because that's where most of these attacks seem to take place, it may be an entity that feeds off fear. That is the only real explanation that I can come to in these psychic attacks. I know in one instance, a number of years back, I'm going to say about a decade ago, because I can't remember the exact time, but I do remember the instance, the situation. I'm sort of closed my eyes, I've just done a meditation, and I'm just ready to drift off to sleep, and there in front of me, behind my eyes, there's a gentleman standing there, and he's rearing up like this. He's a boxer, and he's in a classic boxing pose. Next minute he's swiping me with a punch, and bang, I feel it on the aura, and I'm actually sent backwards. Now, I was fully conscious, I wasn't drunk, I wasn't on drugs, and I do clearly remember feeling this punch, and there is no rational explanation other than an entity, a consciousness, a being on another dimension actually punched me for some reason. I can't explain it any other way. Now, like I say, I'm going to sort of gather information and gather stories from people if you want to get in contact with me regarding these experiences or similar experiences. I'd love to hear from you, try and in our own minds explain what's going on and see how many of us there are out there who've been experiencing these night terrors, these psychic attacks. But I'm just trying to throw some ideas and some theories together here as to what's happening. This is real phenomena. I mean, this is not bullshit, this is not make-believe, this is real phenomena. As anybody else who's experienced it would tell you, it's real, it's scary. So I'm actually running out of time for this particular video on this subject. It's been lovely to be able to obviously do this broadcast for you guys. Thank you for watching me. My name is Matthew James, and you have been watching MJTV. Okay, thanks. Bye for now.